Hello and welcome to the March 2019 Logos and Mythos Book Club Live. I can't believe it's March already. So I don't know about you guys, but it really is true that every year seems to go by faster than the one before it. So I hope you are having a good year so far, and I hope that you have been able to do a lot of reading this year so far. If not, I hope you got some good plans, and if you're looking for some books to read, let us know. Let us know what you're looking for, because I love to give recommendations for good books. And speaking of that, I actually have a request for recommendations for an Instagram follower of mine. So I'll give it a little bit before I share with you what her preferences are, but maybe you guys can come up with some good ideas for her. So whether you are tuning in live or you're catching this later, feel free to post in the comments. I will always respond, and I look forward to chatting with you about books. I'd love to hear what you're reading, and if it's a good book, if it's not what you expected, if it's something that's out of the ordinary for what you typically read, I definitely would love to hear all about that. So I have a few things I was going to chat about tonight. And like I've said before, these nights kind of depends on who shows up live. I may change things. I may not get to everything on my list, or we may just have a whole different conversation. So it really depends, but I'm planning to give you guys a few updates about how my revisions are going on the novel that I'm working on. And I know it's been a little while since I've really given you a good update on that, so I'm anxious to share that with you tonight. Also share what I'm reading currently, and I have a couple of other things to share with you guys, some opportunities coming up. One is going on right now, and this week, in fact. And then also I wanted to share with you guys what I've been blogging about. So last Thursday, I started a 3-part series about kind book reviews. Okay, kind with 2 N's. And I'm going to explain a little bit what I mean by that tonight. So if you haven't read the blog post, that's totally fine. You don't have to have read it. I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about why I came up with this and the thought process behind it. And I'm also going to share with you what it actually means. And hopefully it can help you with the book reviews that you write. So first of all, before we go too much further, here is a request for book recommendations for one of my Instagram followers. So she is looking for autobiographies and biographies. She likes stories about ordinary people with rare stories. She likes books about people who survived hardship. She enjoys books about religious cults, celebrities with a life of addictions, and that's kind of the nonfiction stuff that she enjoys reading. Just to give you a glimpse into what she's read recently, she just finished Educated, which is a memoir, and if you've heard of that, then you'll kind of understand she really enjoyed that. So that'll kind of give you a baseline for the nonfiction. And then she said for fiction, she really likes anything as long as it's not sci-fi. She's not into sci-fi, but she prefers early 1900s, books about the English aristocracy, and hilarious modern stories, which I would love to hear some recommendations on that, because I couldn't really think of anything. I don't know what that would be. Anyway, I'm sure you guys have some good recommendations. I'll share with you a few of the recommendations I gave to her, and that may be something that you would enjoy reading as well. I recommended to her Shakespeare's Wife by Germaine Greer, Beatrix Potter, A Life in Nature by Linda J. Lear, and Life in Spite of Me by Kristen Jane Anderson. Those 3 are all nonfiction. Well, Shakespeare's Wife is obviously not a whole lot is known about her, so it's very speculative about what her life could have been like, which I found fascinating, and I really enjoyed reading that book. But the one fiction recommendation I gave to her was The Last Sin Eater by Francine Rivers, and she's read other Francine Rivers books, but she hadn't read this one yet, so I think she might give that one a shot. So if you have any recommendations for her, please put it in the comments whenever you you get around to watching this. And then what I'm reading, I am currently reading The Farseer Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, and I know I've been reading that for a while. I just haven't had a lot of time to read in the last couple of months because I've been crazy busy with business stuff and revisions and other things that we'll chat about in a bit. But it's not because I'm not enjoying this book. I really do enjoy this book. It is the first of a trilogy, and the way that I came to find out about this particular book was I was looking for, as part of my business plan, one of the things you're supposed to do is kind of look at your, I don't want to use the word competition, your other authors with books that are similar to what you plan to write, so that you can see what they're writing and the readers that they are reaching, and just kind of learn what's popular in the market in the genre that you're going for. So she was one of the ones who came on the list, and so that's why I started reading this book, and I really am enjoying it. One of the things that I like is she tends to break some of the rules. Okay, so I like to talk about this often because writers are constantly bombarded with rules. This is, you shall write this way, you shan't write this way, or whatever the case may be. But to be perfectly honest, the only right way to tell the story is how you tell the story. So I kind of chuckle sometimes at the posts that are like, this is the only right way to write something. And so I've enjoyed seeing how she kind of broke some of the rules, and how it works for her. May not be things that would work for me necessarily. In some cases, perhaps, but that's been kind of an interesting part of reading her book. And plus, the story is just great. I really enjoy it. I like the characters, and so I'll have a lot more to say about the book once I finish. I am super close to being done with it, and fingers crossed, I would like to finish it before Thursday, because I would like to put my kind book review into practice and give you guys that review as an example of what a kind review can be. If it doesn't happen before Thursday, then it doesn't. You'll get it next week or whenever I get around to it. But fingers crossed, I can actually have it done by Thursday so I can include it in the post directly instead of later. Either way, though, you guys will get to see it. So about the kind book reviews. All right, this came from part of the marketing, looking into what other books are in the genre that I am planning to write in. Through searching for those, I found it easiest to look on Goodreads and to look at reviews there and see what readers are saying. And while I was doing that, I realized a few interesting things. I stumbled upon some reviews that were just downright nasty. I don't know if these people were just having a bad day or if they knew the writer and wanted to be mean. I don't really know the reason behind it, but I did find some reviews that were they weren't helpful as far as what the book itself was about or who may or may not enjoy that book. It was more about attacking the author, which I found sad and a little disheartening. And then I've also, over the past few months, have had an opportunity to be part of some reviews with the anthology that my short story is in. I've been able to kind of experience it a little bit as an author would. Obviously, this is different from a review pointed at a book that has only my name on it, but it did give me a little bit of a glimpse into what that will be like and how to kind of prepare myself for that. So those are a few of the things that that led to me writing this. Another thing, and this is sort of off topic, but I wanted to share it too because another thing that I noticed as I was looking through all these different reviews, I would read one review and it would say, I'm just going to use description as an example. It would say, oh, there was so much description, it was ridiculously boring and I couldn't stand it and blah, blah, blah. And then the very next review that I would read about the same book said, I loved the description. It opened up my imagination. I could see the scene and, all of these things. And so it was interesting to see how two different readers can have completely different opinions about the same aspect of a book. And so that kind of helped me realize that when it does come time for me to get reviews on books or on my own book, I'm going to keep that in mind because not everyone likes the same things and not everyone is going to like my books, and that's totally fine. So that's where the kind book review comes into play. You're not going to like every book that you read. And if you are pushing yourself to read things that are maybe not your normal type of read, kudos to you, first of all. I want to applaud that because you are attempting to break out of your habits or, whatever. And so I think that that's great. You may find that you like a genre that you never thought you would. So that's really great. But if not, that's okay too. You've given it a shot. And so the way that the reviews work, or the way that reviews should work, is they should be honest. They should give specific information that can help other readers decide whether or not they actually want to read a book. Because if you're like me, you don't have a ton of time to read. And so every decision and choice to read one book is a choice to not read another one. So with all of the books out there, you want to be careful with your decisions, and you want to try to choose books that you think you'll like, or that you're willing to take a chance on. And reading other people's reviews help with that, if they're written well, like I was saying. So why should you write a review anyway? And that's what I covered in my first post that went up this past Thursday. And just very briefly, I listed several reasons, but the primary one was what I just said, to help other readers determine if they would even like to read this book or not. And it may be, if it's a book that you didn't enjoy, the way that you present the review can show another reader who would enjoy that book that it is for them, simply by you saying, hey, this wasn't for me, and this is why. And that kind of gets into what kind, with two N's, my little acronym, what that means. So first of all, K is for know. You should know the story, the genre, and your preferences. And no, you don't have to know exactly what genre or subgenre or sub-subgenre a book is in. Don't stress about that. But I just mean you should be able to let people know a little bit more of what the story's about. I personally like summaries of a book at the beginning of a review, because I find that it gives me a glimpse into the reviewer and into, I can kind of tell off the bat if I'm going to get something out of the review or not based on that. If they've given me a good summary, told me, the gist of what it's about without giving any spoilers, then I have confidence in this reviewer to give me good information. Also, if you know what type of book this is, enough to understand if it's something that you would typically read or not. That's super important, because you need to understand, hey, this is something that I don't usually read. I might not like this. And I have to remember that if I didn't like it, this isn't a type of book that I would typically read. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to go into it with an open mind. And if you didn't like the book, you still need to be able to review the book in light of the book itself. Was it well written? Were the characters engaging? Did the plot move along well? Was there a good resolution at the end of the book? Okay, you can answer those questions fairly and honestly, whether you liked it or not. And that leads into the other letters of my acrostic. So the I is for identify. Identify both the positive and negative characteristics with specificity. And that's probably the most important part. Okay, I have seen so many reviews, and now you'll see in my posts, and so I do want to say this here, because if you don't have time to actually type up a review, that's fine. If you can give stars, that helps an author. It really does. But if you can leave some words, that just makes it even better. So you can't just say, I loved it, and that's the end of your review. You also can't just say, it sucked, period, end of review. That's not helpful. That's not helpful to anybody. For other readers, they're going to see that and they're like, okay, well, great, you loved it. Tells me nothing. And if you didn't like it, they don't know why. So unless there's someone who knows you and probably can guess why you didn't like it, they're going to have no clue. So it's not a helpful review if that's all you put. The first N is for name. And this is something that I like to always put the author's name in the review. And part of my reason for that is to remember that behind this book, there is a person. Actually, there's a host of people. I mentioned in my post about the publisher and the editor and the cover designer, and there's this whole team of people, not to mention critique partners and beta readers and the author's family and friends. There's a ton of people that stand behind any book you read. So if you can just remember that behind the pages of that book that you're reading, there are actual human beings with feelings, that can help you when you leave a review, to leave one that, yes, is honest and puts out any issues that the book may have, but can do it in a kind way. And that's where kind came from, because I started saying, please leave a kind review, and I knew what I meant by that, but I wanted to have something like this to be able to quickly explain what I meant, because I didn't just mean to leave a dishonest review. I mean, don't just give 5 stars to a book that's just horribly written. That's not what I mean. I mean honest, but do it in a kind way that will benefit readers and the author as well. So the second N is to note observations and remarks on unusual or uncommon aspects. Okay, a lot of times you may read a book that maybe it's like the book that I'm reading and the author breaks a few of those rules, or it could just be maybe they wrote a book about a common theme. It could be the hero story, or it could be a love interest that, kind of a Romeo and Juliet type, where there are just so many things stacked against them, but it works out in the end. Or, well, in the case of Romeo and Juliet, didn't work out so well. Spoilers on that one. Sorry for anyone who hasn't read it yet. But sometimes you'll find that authors can take something that's commonly done, but they do it in a way that just reads so different and fresh. And you can remark on those things, and that's very helpful, because part of that is perhaps someone who's looking to read that book, maybe they read the blurb from the publisher and they think, ugh, I've read this book a million times. Well, you can let them know, hey, maybe you think you have, but this author gives a fresh take on it. Hey, that's super helpful right there. And finally, D, drive the writer to keep going and drive readers to read the book. Okay, so your review should, if the author reads the review, because a lot of times authors don't, and that's a good thing too. Sometimes people just understand that it would be too difficult emotionally for them to read every review they get. Totally fine. So the author may or may not read the review, but if they do, you want to make sure that your review will push them to keep going. Now, it may be to push them to keep being amazing, or it could push them to get better, to be a better writer, to, whatever it is. Maybe your issue with their book was their characters just fell a little flat. Maybe you felt like they weren't deep enough to get you to really invest and care about them. Okay, we'll put that in there, and then the author knows, hey, this is something that I could get better on. I can learn how to do this better. Okay, so that's one way. And then to drive the right readers to the book. So like I said before, if it's not your cup of tea, then you can say that, but you need to make sure that you make it clear, okay, I took a chance on this horror book, and I don't usually like horror, and I still don't like horror, but if you do, this was done well, and this was done well, and things like that. So you're actually at that point helping to drive the right readers to read the book, and that's super helpful. So that is what I mean by a kind review. So I have one more part of this blog post series. The second part came out today. It's up on my website, and the third part will be there on Thursday. And in that part, I'm going to be explaining a little bit more in detail how you can write a kind review, how to kind of get a little bit more detailed, and what questions to ask yourself. And it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to cover everything. It may be 2 sentences. It may be 2 paragraphs. It really depends on you. So that's coming on Thursday. And just an interesting little addition to that, I have a PDF that I will be sending out to all my newsletter subscribers on Thursday that will have the how to write a kind review. They can print it out, put it in their computer, or with their book journal, or whatever, reading log, whatever they keep, and kind of reference that. So if you don't already follow or subscribe to my newsletter, then please do that, and you'll get that PDF. I have some other things that are freebies, one of which is a short story that I put up last year, and you can have access to that if you sign up and subscribe to my newsletter. And that one is set around Mardi Gras, which happens to be tomorrow is Fat Tuesday. So if you live along the Gulf Coast, you know a little something about Mardi Gras. If you don't, you probably think we're crazy. But this story would actually give you a good little glimpse into what it's really like. So those are just a few things that I have on or for my subscribers. So I've got one more thing that I wanted to say, and let's see, like I said, if you guys have any recommendations for my Instagram follower for books that she might like, please comment and post those. If you are looking for recommendations or you want to share about a book, please put those in the comments as well anytime. And I put up my posts once, sometimes twice a week. I'm trying to do it on Mondays and Saturdays now. So look out for those, and be sure to let us know what you're reading. And then let's see. Oh, I forgot to tell you about revisions updates. Okay, well, I will do that. So 2 more things. All right, very quickly. This week is the Women in Publishing Summit. And if you have noticed, I've posted a few times with a special link. I'm actually an affiliate for the summit, and I'm proud to be an affiliate. I would not promote something that I didn't believe in. So I started with, well, I got the All Access Pass last year for the summit, and I'm so glad that I did, because I didn't have time to watch the videos and go through everything last year. Now, the summit is actually free. So if you go through my link, that will take you to sign up and register for free. And you can watch all of the videos and have access to that information this week for free. But if it's something that you think you would like to come back to later, you can purchase the All Access Pass. And I would recommend that for a few reasons. It's only $47, so that's one thing. I mean, that's super cheap, because you're actually getting more than 80 speakers in this, and it covers the gamut from which way to publish. If self-publishing is right for you, traditional publishing, hybrid publishing, it goes into all those details. They're going to give a lot of information about marketing, about tools that you can use as a writer, all sorts of things, everything in between as well. And these are things that maybe you're not ready to watch right now. And like last year, a lot of the seminars and the panels, I really wasn't at that point yet. I was still working on a first draft. I wasn't ready to listen to something about marketing. So those are some other reasons that the All Access Pass might be good for you. So if you do decide to get the All Access Pass, then I actually get a percentage of what you pay for that. So that's really cool. And so that helps me out. And you will really enjoy these videos and these panels. And in addition, you will be put into a special Facebook group that is just for the All Access Pass members. And this is there all year long. And let me tell you, Alexa and her entire team care. They really care about the women who are part of this group. They care about helping them network. They care about helping them learn how to be entrepreneurs. Because if you write a book, no matter which way you're planning to publish, you need to think of yourself as an entrepreneur. So just everything that you get with this pass is certainly worth it. And you'll be able to purchase that later if you would like as well. I know that they do go up in price at some point. I'm not exactly sure when, but if you get it now or within the next few days, it's only $47. So it's definitely a great value for you. And then very quickly for revisions. So I actually finished, my book is kind of in 5 parts, and that's kind of the way I set it up in my head. And I just finished revising the 4th part again. Yes, there are many rounds of revisions. So this is just the next step. And this is a step that's getting me to a point where I can actually see the finish line on this. So I'm very excited. I have got a lot of exciting things to share with you guys coming up, even in just the next month or two. Some things that I've been working on, with a good writer friend of mine, and I'm super excited to share these things with you guys. I'm excited about them and anxious to let you guys in on all of that. So next month will be April 1st, will be our book club. That happens to be my birthday, and I might be giving you a title reveal. So those of you who have followed me for a while know that I have really struggled with the title on this novel, and it has caused me great angst, I can tell you. But I can also tell you that I have the title now, and I am 99.99999% positive that this really is the one, and I think that April 1st might just be the right time to reveal that. So hopefully that's what part of our book club will be about next month. So in the meantime, I hope you guys can have a great reading month, and feel free to chat anytime. Bye.